And a good Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. I am your host, Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is Madison Delaney. Megan is unable to be here this evening, and hope all is well on the home front for Megan Donovan. And we'll look forward to having her back, hopefully by next week. Tonight, of course, the NFL draft begins day one of the 2023 NFL draft, in which the Cleveland Browns have 0 selections. However, and we will touch upon this a little bit later, the Browns technically, I guess, their first round draft pick is their quarterback, Deshaun Watson. So if you have to look at it from that perspective, you don't feel so badly. The Browns pick at 74 and 98. Unlikely, I think that there's a chance that the Browns were to jump up back even into the first round. The Carolina Panthers are up first on the clock. We'll have to wait and see if they go Bryce Young, if they go CJ Stroud, all kinds of confusion and words out in the media there. Hopefully, a little bit later on in the show, we will be joined by a someone who's kind of notorious in the Cleveland sports media area, frequent caller and tweeter to the Really Big Show, and also on the Voice of the Land podcast. He goes by Always Positive J. So we hope to have him dropping in here during the hour this evening. Going nuclear, of course, is presented to you by Buzz Sports CLE. You can follow me on Twitter at egreen4325. You can follow Madison at madtravels24. You can follow the show at Going Nuclear CLE. That is our YouTube station. Please subscribe, watch the show, share it with your friends. Please feel free to comment during the program if you want to get in on the conversation. Well, Madison, we started way back in October talking about the Cavs and their potential and where we thought they could be this season with the addition of Donovan Mitchell and having the core of Mobley, Allen, Mitchell, and Garland. Well, last night the journey came to an end as the Cavs were ousted by the Knicks in the first round series, 4-1, 106-95 final. And for most people going into the series, I got to imagine that a very large percentage of the basketball population, not just in Ohio, but probably across the country, except for those who are New York Knicks fans, probably felt like the Cavs should win the matchup. They had the better players, in my opinion, at least at the top end of the rosters. But the deciding factor had a lot to do with the benches of these two teams. So, first of all, Madison, you had some very interesting observations about the series, about the game, about JB Bickerstaff, his comments in the press after the game. And I don't know also if you happen to hear any of the quotes from the players that talked in the exit interviews today. And if so, what your thoughts were on all of that.
Yeah, I think Jared Allen said like the lights were too bright in the end. Like, I don't feel like, he was very honest in that, and he had playoff experience, which is the worst part of that comment, I think. I believe he had playoff experience with Brooklyn. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's just, I think we treated them with kid gloves again, and coming off of a series where they were incredibly soft and not tough at all. Like, I just don't think that's the approach that I would take. And maybe it's a little bit lip service so JB can try to, save his job potentially. And I was very much on board with JB up until the post-game comments. I have a problem with you saying, like, I'm not disappointed in the guys. You had home court. You're supposed to win that series. You won one game. Like, that's unacceptable. Like, it's just unacceptable, and that needs to be stated. I don't think we should go out into post-game press conferences and say, we won 50-some games. I'm really proud of this group. Like, that means nothing in the grand scheme of things, and that's the problem. And so, if that's the attitude he wants to take, then, I have doubts about him being the right guy for the future. And, maybe he is just the bridge guy. And, people that throughout the year, I have defended him. But if that's the approach he wants to take, I think that's the wrong approach. Like, we've treated them with kid gloves. It's time to take those off. They're big boys now. They made the playoffs, and they had a playoff. Like, the thing about it being like the first time in the playoffs, I think is not accurate, because you had a playoff atmosphere last year and you did the exact same thing where you came soft. You didn't play, with the same kind of effort for 2 straight games. And now you've done it again in a series and you only took away 1 game out of 5. So that's a problem for me. And I don't know that JB is the guy to solve it. We'll see how it goes, I guess. I don't know that he'll definitely get fired, but it sounds a little like he's trying to save his job and try to harp on the good things that happen and not so much the bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about spinning it. It is a public relations game that all these guys are playing. And on one hand, you've got people who get burnt for being honest. Jared Allen, the lights were too bright for us. That's not a good look, buddy. You might want to try and get your PR specialist out in front of you there before you make that kind of a statement, because that does not come across well. As you said, Madison, this guy had playoff experience. In fact, from what I've read, I think this includes last season's play-in. He's been in the playoffs 3 times. So this is nothing new to him. Donovan Mitchell, this is nothing new to him. And all those other guys on the team, Garland, Mobley, Chetty's got plenty of playoff experience. Rubio's got experience. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous the way they came out. And you start to wonder, because it was a pattern. It was a pattern the way they played all season long. They underestimated opponents. They got beat down by a Warriors team that had no business beating them. They come into their house, you got no Steph, no Clay, no Draymond, no anybody, and we lost to their backups. Those are the types of things that are kind of emblematic of the whole season, and it's problematic that they went through that. And then you go into the playoffs, you weren't physical enough. Why weren't you ready for that? Why weren't you prepared for that? Now, I will say that maybe some of the reason everybody is, giving crap to Jared Allen about his rebound numbers and so on and so forth. I saw something that was stated, well, if he's having to help on the guard, he's out of position for the rebound. So, okay, I kind of get it, but schematically, you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. Then, you've got some problems going on with JB and what they did or didn't do. New York played fantastic defense, so credit where credit is due right there. They locked down Garland and Mitchell and didn't let them get into their games. And we didn't have any firepower really off the bench. We had to bring our best firepower from the bench into the starting lineup in LeVert. And LeVert, he played pretty well. I'll give him credit where credit is due. We've got some roster holes, yes, but should we have been able to take this series further and win this series against the Knicks? Yes, I believe we should have. Heck, they didn't even have Julius Randle for the second half yesterday, and we got torched by Mitchell flippin' Robinson. Josh Hart comes in, he's playing off the bench, he's in the lineup, he's killing us. It was just not a good look. It's not good enough. And I'm not one of these people, or I don't want to be one of these people who's like, they suck, I'm not rooting for them. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to root for them. And the reason I'm angry is because we're fans. We are fans. We want the team to do well. And you get a little ticked off when things don't go well, and especially when there's a pattern. Last year, we saw it with the Browns. We saw Joe Woods and the complications and the mistakes on defense constantly. And I feel like you said, Madison, in our conversation, you talked about how the way the Cavs were playing was starting to look eerily similar to the basketball they were playing back in early in the season, in November, where they didn't seem to have a clue where the other guy was going to be. They looked tentative. It just was not fluid. That's unacceptable. What was going on at practice? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I honestly think a lot of it, and Mitchell kind of alluded to this in his post-game press conference, like we just flat out did not hit shots that are quite frankly makeable for us. And like shots that like Mitchell in particular has hit all along. I don't disagree that the Knicks played good defense, but I do like Mitchell got to his spot when he really wanted to, with like some exceptions. Sometimes he drove into four dudes, and like it is what it is. But a lot of times he got a good look at the basket, and it just did not drop when it was dropping before. And like, shot making can cover up a lot, and maybe did cover up a lot throughout the season. And that's possibly part of it. But when you're not hitting shots, it's a lot harder to trust teammates at that point. And we only had really like a couple of instances where we moved the ball well, and they usually resulted in a bucket, but a lot of it ended up becoming kind of one-on-one to the basket. Like, let me see what I can do. When it's almost like Mitchell was just trying to get going, and I can't fault him for that, but you were, putting everybody else in kind of a bad spot, and it ended up being, I just like, if Mitchell wasn't like, he's one of the top scorers in points per game in playoff history. And for him to play like that and shoot the ball like that in the playoffs is a real mystery to me, because that's not who he has been. It's not who he is. Like, typically he shows up on a big time level in those games, and that obviously did not happen really at all through the series. So I don't know what was going on with that. I thought maybe New York, it was a little bit of like, okay, he's playing at home. There's more to it because he's pressing too much because he wants to play well at home in his hometown. But then, we came back and he still got off to a rough start. And I think he got in his head, and there was just like a lot of like hanging of the heads whenever you missed a shot, or, a call didn't go our way. And we had tons of calls not go our way. And honestly, the coach and me, like every time someone put their hand up or like shook their head or like wagged their finger at a call, like I would just take them out. Like, you're not getting a call. This is the New York Knicks. Like, they're a big time franchise. Like, even though they haven't been in the playoffs, like I don't want your excuse about, why you didn't take care of the ball, why you didn't make that light like up. Like, forget all of that. Like, you got to stop looking for calls. And I thought we did a lot of call hunting in the series, and it obviously didn't go very well for us. So the whole thing was a mess. I don't really know what else to say. It'd be one thing if they didn't have the talent, but they have the talent. They just totally underperformed. I mean, every starter really, like, except for Garland, which that was kind of an outlier because he had the one really, really good game. But everybody else was like at least 5 below their average for the season, which is just not what you expect going into the playoffs. So it was definitely a disappointment.
Yeah, definitely. I everything you said is spot on. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about other teams, and I know that both Mitchell and Garland are both similar type players. They're ball dominant. Mm-hmm. And I listened to some guys, talk today on sports radio about, one of the needs is we need a sniper. We need a guy who can not, just nail a shot that has the defensive freight. But Garland and Mitchell are both good enough shooters. I don't feel like there was enough movement off the ball to get the defender chasing them around and getting open. They're fast. They're shifty. Get them an open shot. What else is going to, what's the worst that's going to happen? You get a better look at the basket? I mean, I don't get it. I don't know the philosophy, and it ticked me off last night and throughout this whole series. The fact that there were guys that looked like they were jogging back for a rebound or on a breakaway. I mean, I don't know. And so this brings me to a couple of questions here. And folks, if you're not sitting watching the NFL draft, we'll try and keep you, and you're listening to us, we appreciate it. We will try and keep you posted as the picks come in here. I've got the ESPN up on the other screen. I might be behind, but hey, we'll try and have a little coverage here. So the question for you is this, Madison, as we look at the construction of this roster, okay? I wanted to, and this starts all the way at the top, from Kobe Altman all the way, down into the actual players on the roster. who's safe and who's not safe, okay? So I want to start at the top. Kobe Altman, is he safe or not safe? No moves
Yeah.
made at the trade deadline, and then we mutually agreed to let Kevin Love part ways. Is Kobe Altman safe or not safe?
Yeah. I still say safe only because people want to talk about like Josh Hart. Josh Hart went for a first round pick and players. We were not getting him. Like it's just not, it wasn't in the cards. We only have one first round pick. I think it's next year. A bunch of second round picks, but like, here's my thing. I'm not giving up 3, 4, 5 second round picks for a guy to win us one series, maybe 2 series this year. Like that's not what I want to do. Like this was not going to be the year. There was no one who was going to move the needle enough to win you a championship. Like that's just straight up the truth. So I'm not giving up picks for that. Like next year, we're in a different boat, I think. Like we should be taking the big swing. Not that we have a ton of tradable assets to do so, but like if there's someone you can go get him. So I think he's safe for that reason because I just don't think there was really anybody he could make a move for. And I don't for the Kevin thing. Like Kevin earned the right. If he wanted out, he wanted out. Like I don't have a problem with that. I also don't think Kevin moves the needle. Like that's been a trendy topic because he hit some threes last night. But he also, he played 3 minutes in a play-in game like a week and a half ago. So like, it's a situational thing with Kevin, and he was not going to move the needle of physicality for us in the New York Knicks series. I don't think he's not helping us there.
Well, in theory, and I know this is all, it's like hindsight is 2020, right? And we're hypothesizing at this point, but would he have been a help on the glass? Do you think? Would he have brought
maybe
championship mentality?
I just don't think so. Okay. He's older now. I just don't think he has it in him to be the guy to wrangle people on the glass. I mean, like maybe you can play him at the 5 and he can defend the 5, but like defensively, like I don't know who else he's guarding other than the 5, against the Knicks, whoever that may be, whether it's, Mitchell Robinson or Hartenstein. What's his name?
Hartenstein. Yeah. I mean,
but then you put, J.A. or Evan Mobley on. I mean, Evan Mobley can guard anywhere, but J.A. cannot. So if you've got Kevin out there with J.A., then you're in a bit of a pickle. But I don't buy that. I think that's a cop out.
Yep. And all right. And we have got our guest here this evening, Always Positive Jay. Let me bring him into the fold here.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
All right, Jay. How you doing, buddy? I see you're representing the GV artwork, going some Gardos.
Yeah, I got the Gardos shirt on.
Real nice. Well, Jay, thank you very much for joining us. As I mentioned in the open, you are you're kind of famous around the town in the Cleveland sports vicinity there. Everyone knows who Always Positive Jay is. Always up on the Joe B's Twitter inbox, Unfiltered 5.
I don't know if I'm all that famous, but
oh yeah.
I'm trying to build a little rep here.
You are, and you're doing well. And this is my co-host is Madison. Madison, this is the one and only Always Positive Jay, and you can also listen to Always Positive Jay. It's Voice of the Land pod, correct?
Yep.
And you are on that with Kevin Arnold, also known as Kevin in 7, correct?
Correct.
And Kevin is the he did some play-by-play of the Crunch this past season, yes?
The last 2 seasons he's done the play-by-play, yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. As you might see in my background, I've got my Hector Marinero jersey up there.
Nice. That's a legend.
That's authentic. I got that right off his back at the Convo Center.
If I'm distracted, I got this like right behind this camera is my TV, and I'm watching the draft. So I'm like,
well, and with that, let's go to the draft board. First up,
there it is.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. Okay, you can boo me now because I'm Roger Goodell for the evening. No, so they go Bryce Young, and we are going to come back around to the draft and what they've got, because I do want to hit on a little bit of what's going on in the draft and comparing that as I mentioned in the open, we talked about the Browns not having a first round pick, and looking at what we've got, our first round pick really is Deshaun Watson. And so then we've got to compare, okay, Deshaun Watson or X or Y or Z. So we'll get into that. We were just talking here, Jay. We were talking a little Cavs, doing a little wrap up here, playing a little safe or not safe. We were just chatting about whether or not we think Kobe Altman should be safe. And I think we determined, Madison, you were feeling like he's kind of safe there. Do you have a thought? What are your thoughts about Kobe Altman, Jay?
Oh, he's safe. He made a huge trade, and I think, like, if you ever listen to Windhurst, 4 quarters don't make $1, so we gave up 4 players or whatever. But Donovan Mitchell is a premium player, and yes, I know he had a very bad series here, but trust me, he's going to bounce back. He'll be fine. We've seen what he can do. Guy scored 71 points in the game. He nailed, like, Darius Garland is a hell of a draft pick. Like, that's an all-star you got late, like, not late, but later in the first round, and that's hard to do. Like, the NFL draft is so much easier to hit in the first round. Like, those first 3 picks in the NBA draft, if you only got one of those, it's a crapshoot almost.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm right with you. I think Kobe is, in fact, going to be safe. It's going to be a turning point. It's going to be an interesting season and off season to see what he's able to do with the limited assets we have to improve this roster, because clearly we need to improve it based upon how things ended. Of course, I don't know if I'm more disappointed as a Cavs fan or if I'm a Bucks fan going out like that, getting punked by the Heat. And I give credit to the Heat where the credit is due. Spoelstra is a heck of a coach. The next person on the list, this is highly controversial or not, JB. Is JB safe or not safe? I'm just going to throw my 2 cents out there. He's hanging on by a thread, in my opinion, or he should be, because I want to see better results. I don't want to see the same crap, different year again with this guy. And Madison, I'll let you give me your shot on JB.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit. I mean, I think JB generally has a good pulse on the team. I think he motivates them well, but for whatever reason, this series and the play-in last year could not get them to match the physicality. I mean, in his huddle, he talked about, you guys are blanking on the game plan, like you guys are just not focused, and like that, frankly, is a little bit on him. And I as a coach, I like to put it a little bit on the players because all the coach, but I mean, it is ultimately your responsibility to get the players to play up to your standards. And they obviously, didn't do that. And it'd be one thing if it was 1 game. I think if you won 2 games, I'd be comfortable with it, but to only 1 with home court, it's like a situation. It's only if you can really improve. And I think maybe potentially the only improvement just got hired, in Houston. So I don't know that they will move on, but if someone becomes available, I think they could potentially do it.
Jay, what do you think? Is JB safe or not safe?
I think he's safe. One, I'm pretty sure he just signed an extension, but I think he's safe because you have a very young team, and I'm pretty sure they have the #1 defense in the year. And does all that matter when you lose in the playoffs like that? Kind of no, but these are grown men. If it takes your coach to motivate you to play hard, that they need to look in the mirror themselves. I don't think point so much at the coach. I think did he have mistakes? Probably. He's going to have to learn too. But I think the way he gets his team to play defense, it's why it baffled me, like with the effort that you saw in this playoffs.
Good
and
point.
The Knicks still averaged 99 points a game. Like, it wasn't like they played bad deep. Yeah. Like, they did more than enough defensively. I mean, it's a good point.
Yeah,
I mean, how many missed wide open shots that we normally always make, and all of a sudden we're missing them? Like, is that the coach's fault? And you got to have the horses to also match up, and we clearly don't have a wing 3-point shooter. Our best 3-point shooters are the guys that are handling the ball, and they ain't got no one to kick it to. So they're just clogging the plane and selling out on that 3-pointer on Garland and Mitchell. So they're selling out. They're clogging the paint. that's also making Allen's job a hell of a lot harder because he's not just have to rebound his guy. He's got to out rebound the other guy that's just sitting there waiting. And I think that took him totally out of his game and just messed him up even mentally.
We've got an update here.
I love that chime, man. I absolutely love that chime. I'm so pissed we don't have a pick.
Yeah, I know. That is a great chime. With the second pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State University quarterback.
No, that's a surprise.
I did not want him to go there, man. I did not want him to go there.
Well, you know what?
Wow.
I'm glad he went where he deserves to go. Right, I thought he should have went 1, but I hate Houston, man. I can't stand them. They're a bunch of fools down there.
I'm kind of excited. My sister lives in Houston. We're going to that game, I think. They're in Houston again next year, I think.
I believe you are. I know they're on the schedule, and I believe you are correct that we are there. I know there had been rumors earlier this afternoon that the Cardinals potentially were being looked at as a possible trading partner for maybe the Titans and Mike Vrabel to move up to get C.J.
That
Stroud.
ain't happening.
Well, so C.J. Stroud goes to the Texans. They've got a lot of work to do down there, as they are going to be vastly improved, I think. At the
what if they take Jackson Smith and Jigba with our pick? Oh man, that's going to hurt, but be cool at the same time. I'm going to be so confused as a fan. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like kind of upset. That's my guy. That's my pick. But he gets to go with this guy, so it's cool. But it's Houston.
Yeah.
I hope Houston does get their crap together down there because I really like C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think my head will explode if they also get Jackson Smith and Jigba. However, as long and this is something I want to touch on as we move into the Browns segment. I want to talk about the the Ravens, and they got their Lamar Jackson deal done, and the Steelers. I just don't want to see anybody else in the AFC North add any more talent. We've got a colossal task ahead of us as Browns fans.
Well, they're going to be adding talent. I'm sorry to tell you, man. They're definitely going to be adding some talent in the next couple days.
Yeah, we can't have that. We just can't have that. But so then the last thing I wanted to go to just to finish up on the Cavs here, we've got our core 4 of Allen, Mobley, Garland, Mitchell, and then I know they talked about it earlier. LeVert's kind of safe because they can't just let him walk for nothing. And we can't. He's not. If they don't have him under contract, they can't trade him. They can't do anything with him. So you really can't let him go.
I think he wants to stay here too.
That is correct. Per his exit interview, he does want to stay in Cleveland. So Allen, Mobley, Garland, Mitchell. The only one I see, and argue with me if you're wrong, the only one I could potentially see them moving on from is Allen.
And I know. Who's your center? Then who's your backup? We need a backup center. How are we going to get rid of our center?
Right, and I understand that, Jay. And I'm just saying the only one they could.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying. Here's the thing: why does everyone always say this? They're like, "Oh, we don't have the assets to get players." Like, there's this thing called free agencies, and no one ever talks about. Like, they believe we can't get players in Cleveland. We're not looking for star players. I need a couple 3-point shooters. That's it. Please give me a backup center that's a big body that's better than the guy Lopez. Like, I love the guy. It looks like the caveman from Geico and all that, but he's garbage, dude. Like,
yeah, exactly. Madison, your thoughts? Anybody of those core 4 do you think are even remotely not safe?
I think it's slightly trendy on Twitter to include Garland in a package. I'm not saying I agree. But it is trendy on Twitter to include him in a package for a wing and just roll with Mitchell. No. But honestly, Garland was probably and he didn't have all great games, but he was probably our best player through the whole series, offensively at least. So I don't necessarily agree with I haven't taken a full look. I was kind of in denial about the season ending, so I haven't taken a full look at who all the free agents are that are available that can shoot. But obviously add someone that would be great. If you could, and if Danny Green is up there in age, but like if he comes back from his injury, if Ricky Rubio comes back from his injury a little better next year, that's like a different story. And I think we kind of banked on them being ready to go, and neither of them were particularly ready to go. I mean, Danny Green looks like he's running under 6 feet of water at this point down the floor, which is unfortunate. He can still shoot, but defensively he's not going to match up with anybody.
And when the other defender on him is the boundary, that's kind of a problem. How many times did he step out of bounds?
It wasn't great. Not an ideal situation for sure. As my Carolina guy down here in North Carolina, I love Danny Green. Sixth man for Carolina, and he had a great NBA career. So hopefully
you're a Tar Heel fan?
Yeah, I'm from North Carolina.
Hell yeah.
Oh, there you go, Jay.
I don't know. I think it's because I live in a duplex when I was young, and my cousin lived downstairs, and he was my older cousin. And he adored Michael Jordan and had all his North Carolina stuff. And I mean, that baby blue is just amazing. So
yeah, there you go. We like him. He's a good catch.
That and Duke sucks. So
I have a Carolina cup right now, and go Heels.
Oh, nice. Fantastic. Now, all right. So I'll come back around to the Tar Heels. I got some questions about Tar Heel players, football wise, that is. All right. But you mentioned something, Jay. You talked about being able to attract players to Cleveland. Can Mitchell be a recruiter like LeBron was?
I think he could be better than LeBron at times.
In terms of recruiting people?
Oh, you watch, dude. I think he's going to take this team and this offseason.
Timeout. We have got a timeout here. Houston.
Trade. They did trade.
Traded up. If they take Jackson Smith and Jigma, I'm telling you, my head's going to explode. Do you think they're going?
Is it the Texans?
The Texans.
Wow, the Texans went back to back.
Yes, they have traded up with the Cardinals.
This is draft day, right before our eyes.
I'll bet money they take that linebacker.
All right, Armstrong?
The one from Alabama.
Yeah, the kid from Alabama for sure.
They're rumored to take him at 2. And now they got their head coach is a linebacker, a former linebacker.
Right. Well,
everybody else is their peach.
Well, I've got Dane Brugler's the Beast up here.
Is it Will Anderson Jr.? Is that his name?
I believe you are correct that it is Will Anderson Jr., the linebacker from.
Yeah, look how pumped that coach is right now. He's like, I got my defense. I got my rusher. I mean, when you win in this league, you need 2 things, man. Or actually 3. You need a line to protect them, but you need a quarterback and you need a dude that can get to the other quarterback. Those are by far the 2 most important positions in football. Don't we got one? We got those, don't we?
I think we do. We're missing a few pieces, but we're doing pretty well.
They gave up a lot. They're not getting JSN. They gave up 1233, a first in 2024, and a third in 2024.
Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. So wait here momentarily. The pick should be in. We'll give you the pick as soon as it pops up on our screen here. But yeah, so hopefully Mitchell can attract some other guys to the team to help fill some of the holes.
I mean, you need a guy like a PJ Tucker who can hit a corner 3, play tight, or a JJ Redick, or just a guy that can knock down a 3. When he's out there, Corver, there's a bunch of them, and they're not that expensive, and you can get those guys to come here. Like who would? Oh, you don't want to come play a 3-point shot with Donovan Mitchell, Garland, these 2 huge centers? Yeah,
exactly.
Come on, dude.
Exactly. And Jay, you are correct, sir.
I'm a little behind.
The third
I got
pick.
Hulu, man. This happened to be last year.
All right, we're gonna have to talk about. We're gonna talk the streaming thing in a minute here as well.
Don't get me started. I think that's also why I'm not as pissed off about the Cavs because I didn't get to watch it.
And okay, so I want to hit on that. So with the third pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans, trading up to number 3, have selected Will Anderson Jr., outside linebacker, Alabama.
I mean, Houston realistically just took the best offensive player and the best defensive player.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good move. They sucked. They had a lot of holes to fill.
They got a good running back down there, that's for sure.
They do.
Yeah. They're gonna,
that Pierce, he's a good running back.
Yeah, they're going to get better. They're going. They.
They got their left hand. Do they have Tunsil?
I believe they still have Laramie.
I think they re-signed
Yeah,
him.
and he's a monster, dude.
He is. He absolutely is. And I want to go back to C.J. Stroud. I am glad he got picked this early, and all this garbage that they were talking about, him getting jumped by Richardson and Levis.
Dude, I think that was the Colts owner. I think it was the Colts owner starting all that crap.
Trying to get him to fall.
Nonsense. What a bunch of nonsense.
Dirty clown.
Yeah, he is. All right, and so just in closing here, talking about the Cavs, my one thing, if there's one thing that you want to see happen in the offseason for the Cavs, my first thing is I want Evan Mobley to hit the weight room. That guy needs to bulk up. And we got to decide if he's our forward or our center. That's my one thing. Jay, what do you have for your one thing? And then Madison.
Oh, man, dude, I want to give you more than one thing. I got it all.
All right.
You need a wing shooter, a backup point guard that can shoot, because Rubio's he's glue factory. You need a backup center. And Allen and Mobley both got to put weight on. Mobley's got to work on his shot, and you're good. That's it. It's not that hard.
There it is.
A little internal, a little external. Let's get it done, guys.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Madison, what you got?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a little bit fresh off of the series, but I feel like you need a post player who is a bruiser. Like, at some point, you got to say, like, take a foul or you're getting the ball. Like, I don't care which it is, but either of those are the options. The other option does not exist where they get the ball. Like, I mean, we gave up so many rebounds, and we don't have anybody who is, like, that type of dude. Like, I love Allen. Like, yeah, like, Allen is too nice, man. Like, he's too much of a nice kid personality to, like, go beat some dudes up and put somebody on the floor. Like, at some point, yeah,
I
like
mean, whatever happened to the dude in dodgeball that pissed that dude off when he saw his wife cheating, and then he got all mad and started chucking the ball like a madman. I need my dude Allen to get mad like that one day.
Yeah, just one time. Like, I mean, and he did it throughout this, like, the season. I feel like when he had a game where he was a little bit soft, he came out and, like, had 20 boards the next game, but, like, he just could not get it together this series. And I mean, maybe he is actually injured. I mean, I hope that that's the explanation, because the alternative is really dire if he's not hurt, because he's obviously not going to be the guy if that's what he's going to do in the playoffs when we play anybody with size. And I mean, and they let you know too, like Mitchell Robinson was in the press, like, they're scared. We know they're scared, and we're going at them. And you did absolutely nothing. So that's the glaring problem for me. I mean, shooting's obvious, but I don't feel like, I mean, maybe a shooter helps you, I guess, technically, but I mean, if we limit boards,
what really messed us up? It's trading Kevin Love, and then the guy that was supposed to step up is Dean Wade, and he didn't. He was supposed to fill that role. We were giving it to him, shoot the three, play some rebounds, and all of a sudden that dude couldn't hit a shot for the love of God.
Yeah, the extension of Dean Wade might be reason enough to put Kobe on the block a little bit. I never understood that. He shoots
great.
He shoots about the same as Okoro, and people hate Okoro. Like, it's pretty much like
before he got hurt, that dude was shooting a high percentage of threes, and then he just it just plummeted after that. That dude did not recover from that injury.
Over the career, pretty similar, and it's just funny that one guy gets viewed as the shooter and the other guy gets viewed as a non-shooter. It's like they're both pretty much the same.
Well, you know,
I love Okoro. Don't get me wrong, I love that man.
Well, there you go. You got a fan, Madison. No, I was just going to say, and momentarily we will have the Indianapolis Colts pick. They got to go quarterback. If they don't, I'd be shocked. But we will get that to you momentarily.
Do you take a quarterback here if you don't like the guy?
They need a quarterback. They got to go.
I think they're shell shocked that they took the quarterback.
They might, but here's the thing. I think the reason people give Okoro such a hard time is because he was a pretty high draft pick, whereas Dean Wade wasn't.
Yeah.
And
where was Okoro drafted?
He was like 8 or 9, I think.
That's not that high. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you ain't got a top
there's
3
only
pick,
2 rounds in the
you're picking role players.
He was a lottery pick.
Oh, and there it is. Here's a breaking news.
Yeah, there it is. They took the quarterback.
With the 4th pick In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson out of Florida, quarterback. What?
I don't
Project.
hate it. He's an athletic
project.
specimen, though. That dude can jump and run, and he can throw, frankly.
But can he read the defense? That's all I want to know with these. And I question all these college quarterbacks because I feel they are set up to fail because they don't call a pro-style offense. They look over to the sideline and some jabroni over there holding up a picture of a flipping duck or whatever mouseketeer, and that's your play call. Give me a break. Let's teach these kids how to play football. Isn't that the whole point of going to college, to learn how to do what you're going to do professionally? And these clowns,
just trying to...
No, they don't know what they're doing. They're a bunch of...
All I know is the people picking behind these people are loving this right now. All these quarterbacks going first. This talent is just falling right down the draft.
Yeah, I just don't... Please do not let JSN end up in our division terrorizing us. So
don't even say that. You just gave me chills.
Yeah. So, okay. So moving on, let's get away from the cadavers. They are the cadavers now. Let's rest them in peace until the draft when we don't have anything to do. And then we'll look forward to next season. So moving forward, the Guardians, hey, they won a game yesterday. They got a whopping 4 runs. You got, Tanner Bybee coming up looking good. I know it's only one game. We got Logan Allen pitching. It was Logan Allen, correct, Madison, that came up a couple days ago and pitched well. Jay, am I correct on the name here?
Yeah, it was Logan.
Logan Allen pitched well. Tanner Bybee pitched well. And we've had to pick up that rotation because not having Tristan McKenzie and not having Savale, that's been a bit difficult. Quantrill not pitching as well as he did last season, even in the home games where he was money. And Beebs is getting beaten up a little bit, not horribly, but when you don't score any runs, it looks like you're doing terribly. So what do we think about the Guardians? They're headed out to Boston. They're only 2 games behind Minnesota for first place. Is there any reason at 24, 25 games in to be panicked at this point when you're leading the leading home run total are 2 players tied at 3? You got Naylor and Jose Ramirez, and I can't count on my own fingers, but each of them have 3 home runs. I mean, that's not going to cut it.
I wouldn't panic at all by any means. I mean, it's only April still. I don't even truly start worrying about baseball until pretty much June. And we definitely need a power bat. That's for sure. Because Oscar Gonzalez, I don't think he's doing anything right now. So if he could just turn it around and be a little bit more power, but they might need to start thinking about trading some of these prospects that we keep hearing about and going to get a true consistent power bat that with a nice little average, play some defense, but just going to hit some home runs, and that someone could just back up Jose Ramirez for once.
Yeah, I agree. Madison, early thoughts on the Guardians. We're a month into the season. Where's the panic level or not panic level?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on this a little bit in a tweet. There's so many games in a baseball season. I don't think it's necessarily time to panic yet, especially I feel like historically speaking, at least in the last couple of years, they've gone on some really good runs mid-year. Once they start to gel, once their pitching gets healthy, all that. I feel like Bell's kind of coming around a bit. He had a bit of a rough start. He's starting to hit a little bit better, so maybe he could be that guy. But it's not like we're necessarily known for taking big swings at trades, but it would be a good time for it if we decided to spend a little money.
Yeah, I think so. I really think, this team is going to be in this division, at least you're in contention. All you got to do is get in the dance, dance and have enough offense. Last year, we had no counterpunch to New York. Once we gave up a few runs, we were in some trouble there. So I don't know. The Guardians.
You need a guy that's going to put the fear in an opposing pitcher, man.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like Rizzo was talking about this morning, talking about, having
Never heard of the
Ramirez.
guy.
What's that?
I said never heard of him.
Never heard of that guy, huh? I heard he played at a very high level.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. No, I think you had guys in that lineup, in the 90s where you got Ramirez hitting in like the 7-hole and at the top of your lineup, and you got Tomey and Bell, and golly, that was just murderer's row what they had going on there. Amazing that they were able to put that kind of a squad together. And how is it that we haven't been able to put all that together? Is that just the type of players that we are scouting and drafting, or I haven't put my finger on it yet.
It was like after that era, we couldn't find pitching to match that, and then we went hardcore pitching, and then we forgot how to find all our power bats again. Like they pick up great offensive players, but I think what was it's Jose or Lindor pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hafner maybe
Yeah, I mean, we tried our hand at some guys, but just never really worked out, unfortunately.
Edwin, how can I say his last name?
Encarnacion was very good. He came up pretty big in our 2016 run. And he and Carlos Santana, they were formidable. They were definitely formidable. So we shall see how.
I just want to do that. Can hit 50 bombs, man. Is that much I have to ask?
It is a lot to ask, Jay. It is a lot to ask.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding. It's only 50 home runs. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's just a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound here. All right, so Seattle is on the clock if you're watching or listening to the NFL
This is
draft.
an interesting pick.
What's
very
that?
Interesting. I think this is a very interesting pick. They can go anywhere, really.
Yeah, and
it's kind of a luxury pick because they have two, don't they?
I'd have to look at the draft board to see what they've got here. I mean, it seems as though they should, because they should have gotten something back from Denver.
Yeah, I think they have Denver's pick. I think this is Denver's pick right here, and then they have their pick because they're in the playoffs, so they're way.
Yeah, they were better. Yeah, that's a fair point.
So, like right now, you could pick best player available, and then later you draft need more so.
Yeah,
that's why I love them. And Philadelphia are very interesting draft picks right now.
Yeah, Philly's got all kinds of picks, and rich get richer, I guess. Back in the Super
Bowl. If I'm Philly, I'm doing one or two things. I'm taking either the running back from Texas, but I honestly, if I was Philly, I would just destroy the league, and I would draft Jackson Smith and Jigba there. I'm like, stop my receivers. You can't. I have a mobile quarterback with 3 unstoppable receivers and a tight end. Have fun.
Yeah, they're coming up. The Eagles are at number 10, so they may very well be in position to do so. So as soon as we see the pick here from Seattle, we will report that to you. So obviously, it's tough to predict what the Browns are going to do. They don't pick. They don't pick.
They're going to pick a player.
You know what? That is on the money, Jay. They are going to pick a player. Yes. After
that, they're going to take another one.
I think that's a good point. That's a good idea. It's not going to be a Cade York, but, we might get Bo Bell. Can you give me some Bo Bell?
High motor.
High motor. Does he have a good hip swivel?
I have no idea, because all I know is he had a high motor, and we never really saw it.
Yeah, that's brutal. Just brutal. No, a lot of the draft boards, and I will be curious to see how the experts did in their final mock drafts. And here we go. We have the pick in. Let's go to the board. With the 5th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Devin Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
All right. According to, let's see here where Brugler had Witherspoon. Witherspoon on his board was the number 2 prospect, only behind Oregon's Christian Gonzalez. We've got here, taking a look at Witherspoon, let's see. if I could read his line here, he is 181 pounds, and I believe it is 5'11" tall. So, we'll see what he can do. He had 1 sack and let's see, 5 total interceptions in his time at Illinois. So we shall see. I mean,
he can hit. I just saw the highlight. He can hit, dude. He looked like, wow. And that looked reminded me of Denzel Ward.
Wow. So it's going to be a Legion of Boom out there, huh?
They're trying to start it back up.
Real nice. Real nice. No,
I mean the offense, their Seattle offense was phenomenal. Their rookie running back's a beast. They got 2 great receivers. I don't know. Geno Smith apparently is fixed. Let's just say this. That head coach was definitely got the best out of Russell Wilson and now the best out of Geno Smith. And Russell Wilson probably misses him a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that Geno Smith certainly was the beneficiary to a very good coach in Pete Carroll, and he certainly looked very good. I mean, it was, would you agree, Madison, Jay, that essentially what they got out of Geno Smith is kind of how what Stefanski has gotten out of Keenum and Baker and Brissett? Is that essentially what it is? You got a person who is a career backup, and they go under the right coaching, and they stick with the program, and they look pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much.
There we go. So
I say quarterback coach relationships huge.
Absolutely. One of the guys that they're talking about for the Browns, and we'll see if he's available. I mean, after tonight and starting early tomorrow, we'll really have a better idea. Gervon Dexter out of Florida. I mean, certainly we need some defensive linemen because, we looked very weak against the run. And this year we've added Okoronkwo. We've added.
I'm just calling him 007 because I'm never going to get that name right.
You're not going to get Okoronkwo?
Obese, right? It's Obese was his nickname, if I remember correctly. Easier to say.
I thought it was just Ogbo, but or Obo. It's because it's Ogbonnia Okoronkwo. And then you got Dalvin Tomlinson. So they've certainly added some pieces to the defensive line along with Myles Garrett. And it's going to be very interesting to see what Jim Schwartz brings to the table to this defense. He is certainly a seasoned veteran coach, and I hope he will get the most out of his players. And we don't see a lot of the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other in the defensive backfield, looking at each other dumbfounded while the guy is running wide ass open down the field for a touchdown.
My X factor on that defensive line, Hurst, the defensive tackle we got. Mm-hmm. He stays healthy. Watch, just watch.
All right. And that is
you heard it from me, man. That I feel like Schwartz is like, yeah, let's just get him. If he's healthy, he's going to be a beast.
There you go, Madison. You've done some mock drafts. Do you have anybody that you think is going to move the needle for the Browns that's going to be available at 74 and or 98?
Oh gosh, move the needle. That's a loaded term. I mean, I think it's just hard to know how the board's going to fall. Like the PFF board is a little different, I feel like, than how it actually ends up falling. I mean, like a guy like Isaiah McGuire, on the D line might be good. I mean, I think he fits the athletic profile they're looking for, the age range they're looking for, generally speaking. If they don't deviate from that, he should definitely be available by that point. There's potentially a couple other guys. I mean, I still don't know that it depends on who's available, I guess, but if they don't deviate and go back to wide receiver, because you need that help there, I think still. Any place you can get better. I do think they can go best available no matter who it is and what position it is. I think they've done enough in free agency to warrant that, but they obviously do need help on the D line. But I think edge is probably like the obvious answer at that pick. I think the interior is probably a little later in the draft just by like how the board falls and not reaching for guys at that pick. But we'll see how it goes. Should be a fun day tomorrow, hopefully.
It should be. What about linebacker? Obviously, injuries hurt. Walker, Phillips, etc. Taki. JOK, is he, the knock on him is his size. Do we need to get a bruiser of like a middle linebacker out there? I'm all about that Jack Campbell guy. Isn't Jack Campbell from,
I think so, from Iowa.
a linebacker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jay, what do you think about our linebacking core?
Sure. I don't know any of these players we're talking about.
Oh,
But
fantastic.
yeah, that sounds great. You're
There
just
we
talking
go.
to me, like, whatever you guys are talking about, I'm like, yeah, let's get him.
All
You'd
right.
be like, we need this guy. You'd be like, yeah, let's get him.
I like
No,
that.
we definitely need a linebacker with a little more size, but maybe that we finally have some defensive tackles with some size. It frees them guys up too, and they won't be as beat up finally.
Yeah,
but you're going to
absolutely.
need backups because I think every one of them were hurt last year.
Well, and it's going to be an interesting offseason. Look, we've got one extra preseason game because we play in the Hall of Fame game. And we are going to have to decide, Kevin Stefanski is going to have to decide, which he probably will opt not to play his guys, despite the fact that they look crummy in the for a good couple of weeks. They kind of looked out of sync. I mean, although we put up some points again, we put up 30 points against the Jets, and we put up, we won. We got 28 against Carolina, or I don't recall the final score. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the philosophy, if it changes at all. I don't expect it to. But we shall see. Having that.
This might be the strangest draft I've ever watched for myself. I don't know any of the players. Like, I didn't read a single mock draft. Not one. They traded all the draft picks. I was like, oh, well, okay. I'll just be happy with whatever we get. But, like, I ain't going to lie. That corner that was just drafted, never heard of him.
Yeah, neither have I.
It's just weird because, normally I swear to God, I probably would have read 100 different mock drafts by now.
It's different when we have a first-round pick.
We only have, like, not even a second-round pick. When we were doing those, I would just I'd read those. So at least you get.
Did they make
I don't
a
know
move?
who the pick is yet.
I don't either.
With the 6th pick, the Cardinals moved back up, and they have taken offensive tackle, the Ohio State University, Paris Johnson Jr.
And he's big.
They need protection from Murray.
Though.
They
He's a
need
big boy,
protection from Murray. Yes, he is. He is a large individual. He is one large.
The Bears are probably pissed.
Yeah. Now
although they're going to take, if he falls to them, they're taking Jalen Carter without a doubt.
You think that's where Josh is going to go? McDaniels, that is.
Josh McDaniels. The Bears.
Oh, the Bears. I'm sorry. The Raiders are on the clock. So I got a little confused here.
Sorry, my buddy I work with is a massive Bears fan. So the only draft I've been talking about is what his guys are going to take, and he wanted Paris Johnson because we're both Buckeye fans. And then if he's not there, I was hoping he thinks they're going to go for Carter. So
I gotcha. Okay, so wanting to look here, just since everyone is all seemingly hurt about not having a first-round pick this year, I talked about this in the open. If we take a look at the quarterbacks that are going to be drafted or have been drafted in the first round, and we compare them to the known commodity of Deshaun Watson, you tell me if anybody on this list makes you go, oh my God, I'm pining for this person. I want them instead of Deshaun Watson. You got Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Madison. Did any one of those names make you think they are a guaranteed lock and you want them more than Deshaun Watson?
I don't want to say guaranteed lock, but on a rookie salary where you can fill the rest of your holes, I would say maybe 3 out of the 4, Will Levis being the exception. I don't know if I trust him fully, but I mean, I would maybe roll the dice. Granted, we've done that several times and it has not panned out, but most of the teams that are, with maybe the exception of the Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes, but like everybody else is doing it on a rookie quarterback deal. Even Patrick Mahomes looks cheap at this point, comparatively speaking, to what guys are getting paid now. So that's I think the thing for me is you're spending a ton of money at quarterback, and I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson can't do it, but if you can save money in that position and still like fill the holes around you, that's always a good thing. And we're a little bit strapped for cash right now.
Gotcha. Jay, what do you think? Is there? All right.
I was going to say nobody. Then she made the great point of the money you save on a
She has
rookie.
a
I'm
way
like,
of doing that. She has a way of doing that.
So I'll just go. CJ's proud. I'll be a homer. I don't care.
No, and that's fair.
I think Bryce Young is going to be killed. I think he's so small. I think he's going to get killed, unfortunately. And the other guy, the Richardson, he's got every last mechanic in the entire world. Like, he looks like everything except for they're just like, he's not ready. So he's kind of a gamble, high risk, high reward kind of guy. So I would still probably side with Watson. And I have no idea about Will Levis whatsoever. If he's the next Josh Allen, that's what they said about Blake Bortles too. And like,
exactly. And I mean, it's always a
Trey Lance. Remember him? Everyone thought he was the next great thing.
Yeah, that whole thing, the way that is turning out in San Francisco is that's an S show right there. What they got going on at quarterback.
Because that team is so unbelievably complete.
It is. If they had they're winning with Brock Purdy. Crazy.
Why didn't any of these teams go for Lamar? The owners are so in cahoots with each other. It's ridiculous.
And absolutely, we were going to come around to that. So now this afternoon, the news breaks. Lamar Jackson comes to terms with the Ravens. So now that's the Browns' problem. I was so hoping he was going to jump ship and maybe.
I'm not even scared. NFC. Dude, when's the last time he destroyed our team? Like, just destroyed us. We've actually been pretty good against him lately.
You're right. I think Jay, you make a good point that he hasn't destroyed us. It was probably
him on lock, dude.
It was probably the COVID year after he destroyed the bathroom and then came out and beat us. Okay, if you can go and take a massive deuce and come out of the locker room and then lead your team to a win, that's pretty impressive.
He deuced in the toilet and then he deuced all over us. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was very bad. So, but honestly, I mean, it does make the Ravens as a whole much more competitive to have him out there versus Huntley. And so now we've got 6 games.
You mean the Pro Bowler, Huntley?
Yes. I know, the Pro Bowler, Snoop
That was
Huntley.
the biggest joke of a pick Pro Bowl I've ever seen. I'm like, really? Yeah. Tyler Huntley? Like, Jacoby Brissett should have got that over him. Still mad about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 6 games in the division. We've got 2 against Burrow, 2 against Jackson and the Ravens, and 2 against the Steelers, who, despite Pickett only being a second year and not being overly impressive, they always are well coached. Tomlin has them well coached. They play good defense. What would your expect? Look, as of right now, as things stand, no injuries, whatever it is, everybody's full strength. What do you think the Browns' record is in the division this upcoming season? Is it 2-4 or better than 2-4? Madison.
I mean, I'd like to say better. I hope it's better.
You think they can go? Do you think they can go 3-3? Is 3-3 the bottom, the basement? Like that's where it's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the basement. I mean, it's straight up. It's a tough division. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the AFC that are very good, very deserving. It just got better, obviously, with the Ravens signing Lamar, I think. But to your point, we've played pretty well against Lamar lately, so maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, even Watson gets left off some of the see quarterback lists of like, one of these guys is not going to make the playoffs. And it's like, okay, well, you forgot Watson. Granted, he didn't play well last year, but, obviously you're hoping he plays better. So if he can return to form, then I think for sure we can do better than 3-3. I mean, we still have a little bit, I think, over the Bengals from a mental edge, hopefully, and Joe Burrow. And we'll see what happens with, the contract with him. Obviously, they extended him to the 5th year. And they'll pay him eventually. What they'll pay him, we don't know if they can afford him. but I'm sure he'll take a hometown discount because he's that kind of guy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think at least 3-3. Hopefully.
At least 3-3. Jay, what do you think?
5-1.
All right,
Ooh.
OG Paul, way to go.
Dude, I think Deshaun Watson's going to be considered and probably should win MVP next year. You just watch. I have the weirdest feeling he's going to return to form. I think everyone's pissed him off, and he's pissed off for greatness. He's already working hard to get back at where he's at. And with our defense, like people don't sleep on that acquisition of Schwartz because one, Myles Garrett's about to just destroy the league, and the rest of that defensive line, if they come together, it's on like Donkey Kong, dude. Because we're gonna finally let our corners play the way they should. Like the secondary sucked last year, and I blamed it on the guy Joe Woods. I'm sorry, the dude was just unproven. He came from defensive back coordinator to our defensive coordinator. Like, no, dude, Schwartz is not going to play games, and he's going to get the best out of these guys. And I think our defense is finally going to live up to the potential. And if Deshaun Watson and our coach sync up and they really work well with each other, that offense is just going to fly. Because getting guys like Elijah Mitchell is –
Moore is going to be great.
He's not the big, huge name, but he could be like our Will Fuller. Absolutely. And then Cooper we know what he's got. Donovan the Peoples Jones he just gets better every single year. And I think with Mitchell or Elijah Moore taking off the top of the defense, it's gonna help him a lot too.
Don't forget about David Bell. He's a great possession receiver. And and coming in the 7th pick in the NFL draft from the Raiders select from Texas Tech, defensive end Tyree Wilson. Brugler has him as his 2nd ranked prospect behind Will Anderson, who is already off the board. So we've kind of hit on a wide variety of topics here and want to get to something a little bit fun here. And I was watching, we've had a lot of interesting things going on in the NBA and the playoffs with Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green's always a character. And then last night I was reminded of, watching the Bucks and reminded of Grayson Allen. So I wanted to do a little ranking, a top 3 in my book.
You got 2 people that hate Grayson Allen here.
Right. For sure.
When I looked right at her screen, I was like, she's probably shaking her head. There it is. Like,
right. So I want the rank of NBA's top, these 3 players in your rankings of NBA D-bags. Madison.
Grayson Allen 1.
Okay.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Jay, finish the list. You got Allen.
Grayson Allen 2. Grayson Allen 3. I hate Grayson Allen. Oh, it's so funny you brought him up. I was like, that guy.
Yeah, he's a bit of a punk. He is a bit of a punk.
Give me your list and I'll rank them for you.
All right. Allen, Dylan Brooks, and Draymond Green.
Well, Allen obviously won because I think he's just sick.
And that's fair. That is fair.
Dylan Brooks definitely number 2. And unless we're playing him, I think Draymond Green's hilarious. So I kind of like his antics. I didn't like what he did when he stomped on what's his name's chest the other day. But at the same time, that dude kind of grabbed his foot like they're going back and forth. Like he ain't gonna play with people. He's very old school. He reminds me of like Charles Barkley kind of.
Yeah, he is a throwback player at this juncture. He really is. He's one of the old school.
He's going to be fantastic on TV, man.
He will be very interesting. I haven't watched his shows. What do they have? The Barber Shop that he's on with LeBron, which is hilarious that these guys are all buddies off the court.
Yeah.
But can you imagine Draymond, Shaq, and Barkley on like the same set? Poor Ernie would be going nuts.
He's seen a lot. He has seen a lot. Madison, NBA D-bags, Allen, Brooks, and Green.
Although I do hate Allen for my own personal reasons, I feel like for recency, I have to go Brooks because he's talking a bunch of trash that he cannot remotely back up. And then he gets himself tossed from the game when LeBron's given him the business. So for that reason, I put him 1. For 2, I put Allen because I also just do not like the man. And I guess for 3, whoever's left, Green. I mean,
Green would be the last.
I don't like him, but we don't have the same rivalry at this point, so he can fall to the bottom of the list. If it were like, 2016, we'd elevate him, but he's good where he's at right now. Honestly, we need someone like Green, if I'm being totally honest. Someone who's going to do
absolutely
a little bit like that and muck it up is what we need.
He's the Tony Montana. You need a bad guy like him, so you can point the finger and say, that's the bad guy.
Hey, Razor Ramon over there. Keep it down. No. All right. And this is another one, just the top 3 list here of the worst sports talking heads. My list ranked these 3: Stephen A., Colin Cowherd, and Skip Bayless, who have all at one point or another been the bane of of Cleveland's existence. Madison, who you got?
Wow.
Stephen A., Cowherd, and Bayless.
Yeah, that's really not an easy one. I guess I'll go Bayless just because I liked Sports Nation when it was on with Cowherd before he went like super dark. When he was calling LeBron the Akron Hammer, I enjoyed him. I'll put Cowherd second. I'll put Stephen A. third, although I don't love his takes either, especially coming off of his Knicks biased.
Well, these are the worst. This is the bottom of the list.
You're talking about the best? Oh, then reverse my order.
The worst sport talking heads.
Yeah, no, I still feel that way, but I don't like Stephen A., but I feel like he's the best of the bad.
Best of the worst? Okay, yeah, I got you.
I mean, I still don't like his New York Knicks bias. I didn't love it.
That was brutal. Jay, what you got? On the worst sport talking heads, we got Smith, Cowherd, and Bayless.
I could change this every day. Like, whoever says the thing that day that pisses me off the most. Like, that's 1A, 1B, and 1C right there. Like, man, right now it's Stephen A. Smith. I'm really angry with him. He's annoyed me. Colin Cowherd, I haven't heard from him in a while, so I'll put him at 3, and we'll put Bayless at 2.
Right.
Like, I muted Cowherd. Like everyone else, they like, oh, they retweet him and quote tweet him. Like, oh, you don't know what to talk about. I'm like, dude, he just wants to rile you up, and you're doing what he wants. When I mute them or block people like that, that's what they don't want.
Yeah. So social media is a beautiful thing. It's also a painful thing, especially.
Someone said it best: is the best of the world and the worst of the world at the exact same time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right. So Jay, this is the point on the show where we go through and talk about something that has us going nuclear during the week. It's essentially a grind your gears type segment. It could be a sports take. It could be something that happened in the drive-through. It could be something that happened.
I got one.
Etc. Jay, what has you going nuclear this week?
The overuse of soft, the word soft, and the misuse of the word soft. And it's not anyone in this show by any means. It's like Kawhi Leonard right now is getting called soft. And if you really listen to people that work with him that are around him, he works hard, so hard, like almost harder than anyone to play basketball. But when he also is walking around and he looks like he's 7 years old because he's in pain, he's truly in pain. His knees are jacked up. Him not playing in the playoffs is not soft. JJ Redick explained it perfectly the other day. And it's like, dude, that's not soft. And then there's different kinds of soft. Like, Allen, I think, was mentally soft. And everyone keep like, I don't know. It just gets overused a lot of times. I don't think he's soft like everyone's saying he is, though. Like, I don't know. It drives me nuts. It's like, it's a very insulting word to an athlete. Like, you just call me soft? That's like calling me the B word, more or less. Like, it's really mean to call someone soft. And you know what I mean? It drives me nuts sometimes.
That is what has you going nuclear this week. Madison, what has you going nuclear this week?
I have gone back and forth between a couple things. I think it has to be like, and I hate to do this because I know there's like a good portion of Cleveland fans that are Browns fans, but like it's the Browns fans that are taking victory laps over the Cavs loss. Like, you were right the whole season. Like, the reasons that you guys said that the Cavs sucked are not the reasons that they lost. I really don't feel like the whatever 3-and-D guy that you think we could have traded for in, Dreamland would have helped us necessarily. Like where we went
Bears
wrong
trade.
was just like the starters not playing well. I mean, we did not hit shots that we hit all season, but then also like the rebounding, like we always needed depth at center. And the other thing is the Kevin Love. That was my second thing, is that the Kevin Love being the savior. Like he is not a guy that's like toughness personified, in my opinion. Like he's fine. He takes charges. Love that. That's all good. But like, he's not the guy that's going to turn a series for you when that was our problem. Also, I don't think he has anyone to guard other than the center, which pushes your actual center to guard someone who's not a center, which I don't love against the Knicks. So I think that's my thing. Like, let's just all not root against each other. Let's just all hope for the best for everybody and like give that up.
Cleveland fans sometimes remind me of how like the military is, and like Marines will make fun of Army people, and then the Army people will make fun of the Navy people, and it's like, man, you guys all depend on each other and work together. Can't we all just get along?
Yes, Suzanne Powder. Can't we all just get along?
It's better when everybody's
So the Eagles traded up.
Yes, they did. I see at the number 8 pick here.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlanta Falcons selected Texas running back Bijan Robinson.
That was stupid. I'm sorry. They didn't need a running back.
I mean, look at the way they ran on the Browns. They didn't need Bijan Robinson. I mean, 14 straight times, no problem. Oh, boy.
Before we move on, can I pose a question? So I'm in a dynasty draft. I have the first pick. Do you go with the running back or do you go wide receiver? Or a quarterback? I mean, I have Deshaun Watson on my team, so I'm not super worried about quarterback, but what's your pick? JSN or Robinson?
If you have to pick a rookie?
Yeah, it's a rookie draft. It's a dynasty draft. So I have my team.
Who's your running back right now?
Not anyone good.
How about your receivers?
I have okay receivers. I don't even really remember off the top. I have Garrett Wilson for one. So I feel okay about that
I don't know. Jay, what do you think?
PPR?
Yeah.
Here's the problem. That rookie running back is about to be on, like, I don't know. Who's their quarterback? Who's going to throw the ball and get them points and get first downs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm shocked they took that, dude.
It's a deep enough running back draft for me where I feel like I can swing a receiver and then pick up a running back later in the draft. But I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts before I go into it in a couple weeks.
Do the Eagles take Jalen Carter here? That defense, this dude is just known for drafting trench players and boring picks, but they're always good and they always are in the playoffs.
Right. Well, and Jay, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Myles Garrett gave a presser and he talked about the Eagles and the way they've done things and the way they've built that defensive line and how he'd like to see them do something similar here in Cleveland, get the continuity, get those guys, bring in those guys that get, Fletcher Cox, etc. So we shall see here. While we wait for the pick to come in, so Madison, first of all, have we sufficiently answered, given you thoughts on your draft, your fantasy draft?
Let's see who Jackson Smith and Jigba's quarterback is and see what his wide receiver is. If he's like the immediate number one and he's like in a position like Garrett Wilson, but with a better quarterback, you go wide receiver for sure.
Yeah,
Atlanta might just be handing this dude the ball off a whole lot.
Very good. Well, they do have Kyle Pitts, so it will be interesting to see what they do if Ritter can become a more complete quarterback.
Drake London's a good receiver too.
Yes. I'd forgotten about Drake London. Yeah, he is very good as well. So,
their playmakers are solid. They just don't have a guy to give them the ball.
Yes. Yeah. That's a bit of a tricky situation. That is a bit of a tricky. I cannot believe they didn't go after Lamar.
They're morons.
Yeah, I don't get that. But as we're sitting here today, and after Lamar. The news came out about Lamar signing his contract or coming to an agreement. I saw somebody doing a victory lap of like, well, at least the Browns quarterback is better than the Steelers quarterback. It's like, look, we haven't won squat in years, and we haven't consistently beat the Steelers. So why don't you take a step back here and quit dancing and go, being joyful. And wait, I'm going to pause.
Hold it.
With the 9th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select defensive tackle, University of Georgia, Jalen Carter.
Told you. I knew they were going to pick him.
So again, what has me going nuclear is people who are forgetting where we've come from. You need to stay
Did
humble.
they just lose Jason Hargrave?
Javon Hargraves, I know he.
Yeah.
I think
he went to San Francisco.
That is correct. I know he was someone who was in the mix in the free agency period for the Browns. That a lot talked
and
about.
And then they had another guy they drafted the year before that was just waiting in the wings. This dude's not even going to start. That's insane.
Yeah, and Jalen Carter, now he dropped down the draft board a little bit because of the off-field issues around the time of the combine and whatnot. So Philadelphia, that is a big pickup there. That is a very, very good pickup for the team, the runner-up to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah, just to finish my thought here on what has me going nuclear, it is Browns fans who are trying to talk smack about Steelers fans and us being better than them. It's like, look, they've got, they haven't.
Are you saying we're not better than Steeler fans?
No.
Oh.
No.
Hey.
No, you seriously though, they haven't.
As a sports team, no, we're not better than them. That's
exactly. They have not.
As fans, we are better fans. Don't kid yourself.
Absolutely. No, but I think I'm of the opinion that until you've won something, you got no room to talk. Let's win a few before we start talking trash. When you're Ohio State and you're beating Michigan for 15 straight years or whatever, you got a lot of talking you can do. But until you start picking up the W's when it counts, I don't want to hear it. We got a playoff win. Okay, great. But and yes, as they, Kenny Pickett is not Ben Roethlisberger, but they're a very well coached team. And I don't want to start celebrating and acting like we are all that and a bag of chips, having won nothing. Let's go out and prove it with our play on the field. And that is what has me going nuclear.
When you beat them, you get the 24-hour rule on that too. Celebrate for 24 hours, rub it in their face, let them know they suck, and then we're on to Cincinnati.
Exactly.
Now, if it's a playoff win, I ain't gonna lie, I let them know about that for a little bit.
Oh, that's all off season. That's all. You got the whole off season to let them know about that.
But you knock them out the playoffs. That's pretty good stuff there.
It is true that. You got a good point there. So, Jay, before we go off tonight here, your friends Bears are on the clock. The pick is in. If it comes in while you're chatting, I will go to it. Jay, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Again, your podcast with Kevin Arnold, so on and so forth. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, I'm not on it, but we're on Facebook at The Voice of the Land. You can find us on YouTube, Voice of the Land. And I'm on Twitter at AlwaysPositiveJ. And on my bio link, there's you can click on it, and then our website's on there too.
And when are you guys on? When is Voice of the Land on?
We're on. We've just recently moved to Wednesdays. We start at 8:00. Kevin is going to be off for the next few weeks. He is going to be having his first kid very soon here.
Oh, well,
so I'll be having some. I think I might be having Andy Billman from the director of not Voice. That's my podcast. But the director of Believe Land and The War on the Diamond. I recommend both. Those are great films.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that is great. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. You are a friend.
Oh, it was a blast. I'll come on whenever you guys want, man.
Yeah, we would love to have you. We'd love to mix it up here. There's certainly going to be a lot of sports to talk as we continue through the off season and after the draft and so on and so forth. And Madison, thank you very much as always. And Megan, if you're out there listening, hope all is well on the home front, and we will hope to have you back next week. And we'll have lots of stuff to talk about here with the Browns. See what they do tomorrow. No pick. The pick is in for Chicago. Do not see it lit up there. Again, Going nuCLEar is full-blown coverage of the land. We are presented by Buzz Sports CLE. I'm on Twitter at egreen4325. Madison is on Twitter at madtravels24. Megan, our other co-host, Megan Donovan, Megan D44 on Twitter, and the show is at Going nuCLEar CLE. You can follow us on Twitter. You can watch us and subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate everybody doing so. So once again, thank you very much, Jay. Thank you very much, Madison, for being here tonight. And that is going to do it here for this week's edition of Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land.